Hello and welcome. Granthika allows you to connect the elements of your story, such as your characters, locations, and events, directly to the text that you're working on. This can be done through creating mentions in your manuscript as well as analyzing your text. In this tutorial, I will describe the various ways in which you can create mentions through the editor, as well as how you can use the Analyze option to automatically associate entities with their mentions in your text. Finally, you will also see how to use the Connections panel in Knowledge Explorer to see the details about characters, objects, and events in your manuscript. So to begin, a mention is a reference within the manuscript to a story element such as a character or an event. You can have multiple mentions of a story element in your text, and having them defined allows you to more easily manage them. Like, for example, you can find out how often a character is mentioned, or you can check for logical consistencies. From the editor, you can mention a story element or event by creating a connection. First, you must create a mention. You must go to the respective section of your manuscript. So, for example, we can go to Chapter 1. The mention is created by highlighting the text, which could be a word describing a location, object, or character. We can highlight the word home. When we do so, this bar will appear that can allow us to connect the word Holmes with an existing character, Sherlock Holmes. The head icon represents characters, the pin locations, the square objects, and the clock events. By clicking on the head icon, an option will appear to connect our desired word with an existing character. We can search for our targeted character in the search bar or scroll down the list. You can also create a mention by right-clicking with your mouse. When highlighting your desired text and then right-clicking, several options will appear. We can create a new mention, connect to an existing mention, remove this mention, as well as see the details of this mention and/or edit this particular entity, which will direct us to the Managers tab. By selecting a larger text, such as a paragraph, we can also create a scene, chapter, part, or section. Mentions do not have to be all manually and individually created. The Analyze options on each chapter or section's hamburger menu allows you to create connections at a much faster rate. The column on the left-hand side shows you the mentions already created in the particular paragraph you are viewing. The column on the right-hand side shows you the suggested mentions. The mentions are suggested only after you have your characters, events, locations, and object created in the respective managers. Granthika's algorithm recognizes them based on the names and aliases that you have defined there. The mentions already created are highlighted within the paragraph, while the suggested ones are underlined with a dashed line. You can click Apply, and all of the suggested mentions will automatically be created. However, you can also go through each one to verify that it is correct and just mark the ones that are not. You can do this by unselecting the check mark in the suggested mentions box in the right column to indicate that you are not accepting the suggestion. The suggestion that were unchecked will not be created after you click on Apply. You can also click on a suggested mentions pencil icon to change the entity the mention is referring to. Once you click on Apply, a confirmation message will appear to indicate that Granthika has finished creating the mentions. The hamburger menu on the right-hand side of your editor allows you to have the options to show all of the existing mentions in your manuscript as you work. By clicking on the chain link icon on the right top hand corner, you can see the Connections panel. The Connections panel shows you the connections you have established between your manuscript and your story elements through the use of mentions in the text. You can use the Connections panels to define the scope for which you see the story elements. You can see elements for the entire manuscript, or you can see elements for the current discourse element only. When you're looking at elements for the entire manuscript, you will see in the legend All next to the story element icon. When you're looking for the elements for the current discourse element only, you will see DE. You can sort the visible elements in various ways. Sort by order in which the first mentions that create these connections appear. Sort by the frequency in which connecting mentions appear, or sort by an alphabetical order. The globe icon next to the Connections panel open the Knowledge Explorer. Click on any visible story element in the Connection panel, and you will see the Knowledge Explorer with the information for that specific story element. In the Information section, click on the various icons to see notes on related characters, locations, objects, and events, and mentions of that story element. If you click on a mention, you will see the connected text in the manuscript. By clicking on a story element in the Knowledge Explorer, you will see the details for that story element. You can use the navigation buttons, so previous and next, to move from one element to the next. That concludes the tutorial on mentions, the Analyze feature, Knowledge Explorer, and Connections panel.